Hey guys, hi
Hello.
everyone. Hello, hello, hello. We are live and ready to go. So we're just going to give it like probably a minute or two just to give people like an opportunity to come in before we start the conversation. But I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. It is hot out
Yes.
here in these streets. I am sweating. So guys, it's going to be really, really, really exciting to say what we're talking about. But we're just going to give it about a minute or two for people to come in before we start.
Yeah. And so basically just share whilst you're waiting, whilst we're waiting, share the link so that people can join in. Good stuff. Yes, please. And then there's a couple of people that asked me to remind them and I forgot to. And I hope somehow you managed to come across this actually. I'll just quickly
Yeah,
send
I'm
it
going
to
to
you.
send my links as well.
Yes. So
Waiting. Right. There we go. There we go. Should we shout out to some people? What?
shout out my husband.
Shout out to Jesus Christ.
I'm just being silly.
Shout out to everyone on this hot day. It's just 8 p.m. and it's still quite bright. So we're good. We're good.
Hi, Lita. I can see that Lita has joined. Hi, Lita.
Hi.
Hi, guys. Okay, so we'll just give it, I think we'll give it like another minute.
Yeah,
that's
fine.
Yeah, so we'll give it like another minute or two, guys, before we officially start the conversation. It's going to get started.
I just have my filters on today.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know yet how unfiltered
We're gonna be.
I don't know how unfiltered we're going to be, but we'll see. It depends on the energy that you guys come with.
Yes, I know.
That will determine whether
If you want us to be real, be real, be real, just like you have to be live in the comments. Otherwise, we might get a little bit shy.
Yeah. Seriously.
Okay, guys. So I'm just sharing this as well now to those people.
Sure. I know now that I'm not a Gen Z because I don't even know how to share.
How to share it?
How to share stuff on Instagram. But anyways, I've just sent a message. Let them know it's on.
It's on.
But is it on Instagram?
Yeah.
Yes. So we are live right now. Literally send it to like most of my contacts.
Is that actually do? Oh, anyways, never mind.
So you just click like that. And then
Oh,
And then it will bring up
okay. I guess somebody's tagged me in their story, so I guess they can see me.
people are joining. Hey guys, come on in.
Put my Instagram on for me, please.
Millennials and a half.
I know, right? Sorry.
Okay. Also, so I don't think you can't because it's actually you can't sign into it.
Oh, so I'm going to have to use the form, yeah?
Yeah.
I'll show you
Or on mine.
on your Instagram.
So you can go to
Instagram.
Yeah. Hey guys. Okay, so can see that a couple of people have actually joined in. Hey guys, hi Esther. Hi Mo. Hi Talayo. Hey guys. Hey guys.
That's who's on. Good to see you all.
I'll pass my phone to you.
Okay.
Ash. Okay, so guys, let's get into it. First of all, welcome to Captivating Women, Captivating Gathering. So today we're going to be speaking about the elephant in the room, guys. The elephant in the room. We're going to be talking about things that we don't really want to talk about. You know, those topics that are they're an abomination. Those topics that, as in, if you just say it to somebody, they'll just look at you like, is everything all right? So we're going to be talking about things that we don't really want to talk about. And the thing is, I'm in love with somebody I shouldn't be in love with.
Yeah.
Women, are you in love with somebody?
And even men.
I know, men, it's because it's captivating. That's why I said
I
women.
think
But
we should get some men as well.
yeah,
definitely.
So men and women, are you in love with somebody that you shouldn't be in love with? That is the ultimate question. So we're just going to be having like just a very genuine, honest, open, transparent conversation, and we're believing God that through our discussion and conversations, freedom and deliverance is going to come, because we want to create a safe space and environment where we can have this difficult conversations. We can have these difficult conversations because we believe that it's needed in the church. So guys, you need to bring engagement. We need to interact with each other. Let's be open, let's be real, so that we can really talk about these things. But yeah, okay.
Okay, so we're going to introduce ourselves very quickly. I'm going to pass it to Tosin, just to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do. Let's get to know you.
This is like one of the most awkward questions ever asking about yourself. Okay, so my name is Tosin, aka Anna Gold. Used to be my name as Anna Gold. So what do I do? By day, I work in risk and compliance. So in the legal sector. By night, by night. By night, what do I do? I sleep. So on the side, I'm also an entrepreneur. So I own 2 businesses: a wedding, an event, and a business called Sorry & Co, and an image consultancy business called Anna Gold. What else should I say about myself?
Love that introduction. Okay, I'm going to pass it over to Padge.
So Pad, I'm sure on Instagram you can't really see Pad, but yeah, they call me Pad. My name is Advocate Seven. Who am I? Child of God, Christian, loves God. I'm married, okay. An apostle, an amazing man of God. Reverend Israel, I've got 2 children, and I am a medical doctor. I'm a GP. So that's what I do. Yeah, that's me.
Wonderful, wonderful. So my name is Lola. Some people know me as the Fire. Some people know me as Pastor Calf. Whichever one rocks your boat. What do I do? So, all first of all, I am married to an amazing man. I've got 3 lovely children who keep us very busy. My day job, I work as a HR consultant specialist. I run ministries. That's the summary of basically. One ministry is I lead a women's or mothers group where we pray for women, we cover our children in prayer as well, amongst other things. So yeah, that's me.
Cool. Right, so shall we go?
Yes.
Right, so like we had already, we're going to speak about things that we go through. See, seriously, like we're not here to put up any facade or to act like we've got it all together, because we don't. We're just here by God's grace. So if you have any questions, please go on Slido. We sent the link. We'll highlight the link for you to put your questions on Slido. I'm just going to read it out very quickly. The Slido is, so go to slido.com and hashtag 1368358. So that's on slido.com 1368358. Keep the questions coming.
Yeah, I think we've already got some interesting questions.
Yeah, we have some interesting questions. Good stuff. Can't wait to get in there. So over to you.
How do we start? We'll just start with my answers.
No. So what we'll do is that we'll probably just have a chat. And then you guys keep the comments coming. That way we'll know what we're really doing. And then we'll answer some questions towards the other half of the hour. So we'll be here for about 2 hours. So stay till the end. Okay. Yeah. Don't forget to share. Okay, let's go. So yeah, what do you guys think? Have you ever been in love with somebody you should not be in love with?
Well, to be honest, I was gonna say I married my youth leader. So I married the person I was discipling. Well, it didn't really work out. It didn't really go down that way. But I think to some extent, a lot of women can relate to liking someone to varying degrees.
Yeah.
To some people, it could be like a little crush.
Yeah.
To another person, it could be a full-on, actually, I'm fully attracted to you.
Yeah.
And to some people, this conversation is so broad because you could be in love with someone who's available, and you could be in love with someone who's not available.
Yeah.
Which then, one side it's a little bit, we're not edging towards danger, and then on another end of the spectrum, we're heading towards danger. So I guess to some extent, I can say the majority of women have probably been somewhere on that spectrum where we've liked someone and it wasn't so terrible, and we've also liked someone, terrible in quote, and it's actually been like, this is bad, I can't have this conversation with anybody. So
have I been in love? I wouldn't say being in love, because I think love is a strong word. But have I felt like maybe like an attraction or a crush to somebody that I shouldn't have? Absolutely, yes. And then I go home and I'm like, I'm thinking the name of Jesus, I'm having all these visions, and I don't know how honest and open to be. I'm talking about like, somebody who is not necessarily single. Like this thing happened, like you see the guy, you see certain point, and looking back on it now, it wasn't the fact that I wanted to get with somebody man or anything. No, I think it was probably the idea of what this man and his wife had, or like certain qualities about him that I found attractive, and I'm just like, hey, it was soon. But I wouldn't necessarily say in love. It's just like, maybe you see somebody, you know them, and you're just like,
you feel something.
There's something. I wouldn't call it something, but it's definitely something. But yeah, I've definitely experienced it before.
Yeah. Well, I've been married for 13 years now. Yeah, come on, 13 years now. And I married the love of my life, as you can put that way. But I guess even before I did fall in love with my husband, I did have times where I felt, like you said, love is a very strong word. I guess you can say liked or was attracted to somebody that you knew that you really shouldn't really be doing this. And the flesh can be so.
Yeah. I think also we also have to like define what we mean by like, or like, because it's a wide spectrum. There's difference between like just like crushing on someone, seeing someone who you physically like find attractive, and it kind of, it's a fleeting thoughts and it goes away. Then and there's the other end, like I said initially, where you can't get this person out of your mind, and this is off bounds. And I think it's also like identifying, or I guess going through from someone who is casual to someone who is, this is really intense. Like how do we navigate that? How do we have those conversations? Because it's not easy. Who do you go to tell that? Especially like, let's bring it to, I don't know, where we are now. People in power, for instance, men in power, and I say men because we're ladies here. It's power is attractive.
It is absolutely.
It's so attractive. And many people find themselves in a position where they are, is your pastor, do you leave a church who wants you, once you see the man laying hands on different people fall in love. Like, how do you then begin to navigate, emotions and feelings like that?
Yes. I think one thing you should know is that do we know ourselves? Because, for example, if you struggle with, let me just use alcohol, for example, you're not going to go into a bar to get a job in a bar. Or if you're a sugar addict, you're not going to work in a chocolate factory. So do you know yourself? Do you know your weaknesses? Do you know your strengths? Or are you just going to walk into in court, a den of lions, not knowing who you are, not knowing what your strengths are, and then you keep falling into the same thing over and over and over again? So, for example, if you're a married woman, and then you find yourself, because there are people who are married, it's not even news, who have fallen into a web that they wish they weren't into. And even if you're single as well, you could be in love with, you could move from like to an attraction to like, and then suddenly you wish that person was yours.
And then you built a life with them in your mind.
At that point, it's getting a big deal.
I remember when I was younger, I remember this recently when I was about maybe like 13, 14. I used to watch this show. I can't remember what it was called, but it wasn't Big Brother. It was this show on BBC. And it was the show Lamar was on. I can't believe it. Do you remember Lamar? The singer Lamar, It was on. There was a show he was on that made him famous, or maybe it was after he was famous, and he was in this house. And I used to like imagine myself like him, like I know, right? Like a 13-year-old who had fully built a life with somebody that was unattainable, somebody that was never going to be in my reach, but I was fully invested in the life I had built with him in my mind. So I think sometimes, like, some people can get so like they don't want to take it further. They're okay with it's in their mind, with their imagination. Do you get what I mean? Like they know nothing can happen, but then the thoughts and even sometimes like sexual desires will build up with this person in their mind, and because they know they can't act on it, they entertain it because it's just in my mind. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean, but it's definitely that's dangerous though. I think that's really dangerous. I think to sit at a point when, okay, in your head you might think that I'm not going to do anything about this, but it will grow. It will continue to grow, especially if you're within an environment where you're seeing the person. Okay, the situation of a celebrity.
It was on TV.
Yeah, it was on TV. Obviously, that one is, but in a situation where maybe it's like a leader at your church that you attend, or the leader of your department who is engaged or who is married or something like that, and you think that nothing is ever going to happen, he's a married man, I'll never do it. I've heard people say I will never do it, and the next time they come to me, it's done. And it's not like, so with help, and I'm like, how did he get to this point? I think another thing that is important to emphasize is the fact that I think having that initial attraction, I wouldn't necessarily say is a bad thing, because we're human beings. We're human beings. We have feelings. We have things that we like. For example, me. The things that I think, when I see a man that dresses, and I can tell a man that dresses well. When I see a man that dresses well, I'm not gonna lie, it catches my attention. I'm very intrigued. I'm just like, oh, okay. I'm gonna, I want to have a conversation. So I think having that.
Can I ask a question as you're speaking? So let's say there's a man that you see, and he dresses well, smells nice, all of those good things, and then you find out that he's unavailable. Does that cut the attraction off for you? I'm just wondering.
Honestly.
Does that immediately be like, yeah, that was nice while it lasted, but we're done here?
If it's married, yeah. If it's married to another woman, yeah. But I think I'll be honest. If it wasn't married, I wouldn't necessarily say that it immediately cuts it off. I think that depending on the level of the attraction, I may have to do some work. I'm going to be honest. For me, marriage is like, and being engaged, actually. Being engaged and being married is like,
if you had a girlfriend, you would think.
If you had a girlfriend, I'm going to be honest. How honest? No,
I know you. So I know you're not prone to break up.
No, I'm not for relationship breakup with anyone. I'm just being honest. I'm not sure if in my head would immediately be like, hey, no. I think I'll probably have to. I might need to do a bit more.
Internal work.
Depending on the level of the attraction.
So are there ways that we can act or be? Because you can't stop when you're going on the street. You can't stop your eye from seeing things. I'll tell you how I feel when I'm walking on the road. But the streets are dangerous.
They are.
I'm going to share a personal story with you. I remember when I first dated my husband. I was in medical school. Or I'll say we were 14. And I was going through a transition period where I was getting really saved and, the passion for God and the fire for God. But I was in the transition, when you're on the journey. But I still had a group of friends who were not on the transition. And I remember there was a time there was this new lecturer that came, and every single lady in the hall went, so he was a doctor, he was young, I don't know when he finished, but basically, he was tall, whatever people look at these days, anyway. And then all the ladies were like, we're all sitting down in the class, and they're like, AJ, look at him, like basically, behold your temptation. I remember this so clearly, and I'm like, look at what? And they started describing him to me. I can see, telling me how fine he is, how hot he is. And my husband keeps saying I'm naive. And I'm like, guys, I don't do that. I said to them, I've got a fiance, I've got a boyfriend or a fiance. And I'm like, so good. That doesn't change the fact that you can admire somebody. But I made up my mind that I'm not going to like joke. I'm not going to look onto a mate to love. Do you know what I did in those lectures? Until I got to a point where I couldn't see his beauty anymore. Every time this guy came to lecture, I couldn't look up. It was difficult for me. I said, I know it might be extra to some people. I have to guard my heart. And then even with musicians, worship leaders, pastors, people who preach, and the anointing is so powerful, and like, this person is not bad, not bad. Sometimes you just have to say, okay, fine, I'm gonna move on. I've told people, just move on. I'm not gonna listen to your songs anymore. I'm gonna find another worshiper, you know. But so like, how do you manage these things when they come? Because you're real. It just happened when you just see something and you're like, okay, but don't look twice.
Yeah, that's hard to not to look twice. I mean, like if you see something that is, you know,
I guess the danger now comes whether, okay, is this ever going to be could this ever be a thing?
Yeah.
Like I said, my husband was my youth leader at the time when I met him, and we did some work together and all of that. That sounds wrong, but no, we actually did some work together, and that was when I would say attraction started. But the reason I could allow that it was a series of events, but the reason I could allow that to grow was because although, in quotes, he wasn't somebody that I should be at the time like him. Well, not that there was anything wrong with him, but it's your youth leader. It wasn't like he wasn't married, he wasn't taken, he wasn't it wasn't unattainable to the fact that I would be sinning. Do you get what I mean by maybe possibly entertaining a soul? So there's nothing wrong with entertaining, you know, finding someone attractive who, in quote, might be slightly that may not be, you know,
there's something wrong though. Like finding someone attractive as a married woman, if you're married though.
No.
No, she means like just on a general level.
On a general level, yeah. There's nothing wrong with finding someone in quotes who may be, like I said in my example, out of your parameters, in the sense that you're not breaking any boundaries, you're not sinning. There could potentially be something here. However, it now becomes an issue when this person that you are looking to. So, for instance, there's pastors who are single.
That's true.
There are pastors who are not married. So somebody, let's just use you, Justin. I'm just you because you know. So let's say you say a pastor who's single. In quote, he's a pastor. In quote, that you know this is out of we shouldn't be looking at him that way. However, he's available. If you are of marriageable age, that's not the sin. The issue we now have is I'm liking someone who is married with 2 kids, somebody who is engaged, somebody who I know that is already interested in my friend. You know, those kind of things is when we now start thinking, that's where the issue becomes, because there are something that you should be liking but is attainable, in quotes, and then there's something that you should be like, this is delving into the realm of ungodliness. That's when we now start like.
So should we delve into that realm of ungodliness? Because, so because I'm sure that there are people who might be,
having feelings.
And you know what? We're not here to judge. We're just here as sisters, and just to talk. So let's talk. So what next? How do we?
I think again, I want to emphasize on the fact that having these thoughts, like I said, we're not here to judge, but having these thoughts in and of themselves does not necessarily make you a bad person. Because I think we have to understand that even though we're Christians, we still have this thing called the flesh. And there's constantly that battle between the flesh and the spirit. So the fact that, you know, you have periods where maybe like you find yourself like being attracted to somebody that you shouldn't be attracted to, in and of itself does not make you a bad person. Because I feel like sometimes that's what makes people not want to talk about these things.
That's true.
Is that the fact that this thought has even come automatically.
You're not bad for having those thoughts.
Yeah, you're not a bad person for having those thoughts. It happens with human beings or, you know, flesh. But I think it's what then proceeds after that thought comes. It happens because what some people do is that they feed into it. But sometimes they do it like subconsciously, and it's very harmless. I'll give an example. Like, you know, you can have your girls chat. And you can obviously you're just bantering, you know, you're just talking, you're just joking, just say that, guys, did you see Pastor? Let's be honest. Guys, the girls group chat. Hey, if you know what goes down in the girls group chat, let me expose all of you. let me expose all of you. Apostle will not hear of this. Don't worry, but you know, it's even like it can be harmless. Like it's what you do after that thought. So you go in the girls group chat, like, hey guys, did you see? So what has been going to the gym? Hey, like you see his muscles. And then you're feeding into it. So I just wanted to say that first. That the fact that we have these thoughts does not, and the fact that you're a prophetess and you've been a prophetess for, you know, 15 years or something like that, and you still find yourself having certain thoughts, does not make you a bad person.
Yeah.
So I wanted to,
and that's not a sin. You know, the having a thought about someone is not the sin. Like you said, it's what we do. Like proceeding that, because if we were to open all of our thoughts, you know, on a table,
definitely.
like all of us would, majority of us anyway, would hide our faces. So the thoughts coming into your mind about someone who is, you know, you shouldn't be liking, is not the sin in itself, and I think it's how we approach it. I think anyway, before we go, I was going to start talking about like how we deal with these these thoughts, but I don't know if anybody else wanted to.
No, just to emphasize what you said, I think you need to take the thoughts captive. I know many people have heard this scenario so many times where you cannot stop the dirt from flying around your head, or you can stop from building a nest, and it's so true. It's so true. And if you realize that you're constantly having thoughts, like, I know you haven't acted on those thoughts, but every single time you're thinking and thinking and thinking, it's only a matter of time before something happens. Now, like I think one of you gave an example of the person not being in court at table. Yes, so nothing might happen physically, but something might happen in your mind. And then you know what, even if nothing ever happens in your mind, you begin to look down on yourself, like maybe I'm not good enough. Like, why did they choose that person instead? I've had people ask that kind of question. Why did they pick that person instead of me? Like, so you start to think, oh, maybe I'm not pretty enough, maybe I'm not fine enough, maybe I'm not, you know, you start to question your identity. And your identity really shouldn't be based on who's liking or what's liking or who's loving, or, you know, our identity is meant to be found in God.
Definitely. And I think for me, depending on, you know, how mature you are as a believer, we really have to look at things for what they really are. If you like somebody, oftentimes what you like is an image. You don't actually like know the person. It's usually the idea of the person that you like. And I think it's when these thoughts and imaginations and these feelings develop, we have to combat it with truth. Do you get what I mean? Like when a lot of the times people are often appear a lot more desirable than they actually are in reality. Until you get to know them, you know, some people that like, you know, look at other people's husbands, like, oh, this man does this, and then like, and then you live like one day with them, and you're just like,
thank you, Jesus, thank you, like, so take your husband.
Like you can have him back. And it's not to say that, you know, people who are married or whatever, or men you like are not good. It's to say that the idea you're in love with is not the real person. It's an image, it's an ideology. And it's like feeding yourself with that truth will help remind you that actually I don't even know what I think I'm in love with. Like, why am I going to build up a life with somebody in my mind that I don't even know? That it's a facade. Well, I'm not saying the person's pretending, but I'm just saying that you don't have intimacy with this person to know them for who they really are. So what you feel is not love. What you feel is not deep. It's very surface level, and it's in a lot of cases infatuation. So I think like we have to guard ourselves with truth, guard ourselves with what's actually true, what's reality, and then start informing ourselves of that before running with this idea of loving someone that you really don't know or you just like the idea of.
Do you want to say something?
Yeah, and I was just going to add to Pastor Kath's point is that, like we said earlier, that attraction is such a broad spectrum. And what you're attracted to in a person, sometimes it's, for example, maybe it's the way that they affirm people. And what that says, it doesn't even mean that your attraction is lustful. It just means that it's actually
there's an attribute.
There's an attribute in that person that you're seeing, and that is what you're at. And I've found this personally in my life that many times when I actually get to the root of it, it wasn't the fact that I was attracted to the person from a lustful perspective. There were instances like that, but but there's other instances that when I actually looked at it, I'm just like, actually, the reason why I'm attracted to this person is something about their character, and maybe something that I missed, maybe something to do with my dad. And that's why we also find that a lot of women are attracted to fatherly figures in their lives, because there's that void that the man is feeling. Maybe it's like a spiritual mentor, like their pastor or something like that.
Can I just piggyback on that? It's very easy for you to fall in love with your mentor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just put it down on the table.
Let's squash the elephant.
Very easy.
It's very easy.
Don't fall in love with your mentor.
See.
Well, I'm married to my.
Okay.
We are on the table. We are on the table.
What is mentor relationships?
No, seriously, that's why if you're a mentor, please be careful and don't break the trust of people that are around you, because we the mentees can be vulnerable.
It's true.
Because we're looking for something. I remember my own story. Now, all glory to God, my husband, when we dated, he never once acted in an inappropriate manner to me. Never once. And I'm just going to share a brief story. It won't take too much time. Now, where I was going to start from. Anyways, he was my youth pastor, okay? And I had about dealing, I had issues. Shout out to Pastor Stephen Tutu, Pastor Musa, Victory Assembly. I had issues, and then I needed somebody to help me guide me through. I was dating somebody that I really should not have been dating. I don't know how it ended up being Reverend Israel. Well, he was, I can't remember what he was called then, but Olumide Israel Siabe, and he was the one who had the case to handle. Okay, he was handling my case, and I remember I was always calling him every single time. After he got tired of me, because every single time he would say the same thing over and over again, and I just kept on doing the same thing over and over again. I didn't even realize when I started crushing on him.
When he doesn't call.
I don't even, this was almost 18 years ago. I can't remember how I can't remember how I started crushing on him. But I just realized that something inside me there was like butterflies and all that. And at that time, I didn't know he was my husband. And whether he was my husband or not, I said to God, you know what? This is irrelevant, because I'm not going to have butterflies for a man who does not have butterflies for me.
That's right.
I'm not going to be chasing a man who's not chasing me. So I was like, God, you know what? You're going to kill these butterflies. And I remember I shut him down. I spent about 7 days with God in prayer. I was like, God, you know what? I like this man. And he's my youth pastor. I really need you to help me. All this counseling. Sorry, there are other counselors. Like in all the earth.
Yeah.
Pastor Olumide was not the only counselor. I could have gone to Pastor Steve. I could have gone to Pastor Steve to counsel me. I have Pastor Musa back home. So yeah, I think I shut it down in the place of prayer. But some people don't have that luxury, and I couldn't speak to anybody about it.
Yeah,
because every everybody was questioning him at that point. But I couldn't speak to him about it. I didn't know how to go about it. But these things are real. If you have somebody you're constantly speaking to, constantly messaging, constantly texting, even if it's for business, for work, just be very mindful, because there is a chance that your emotions can start to get locked into them.
Yeah, and it's even in the same, like, imagine, like, even like in friendships, there's a friend you talk to all the time. You're not saying you develop feelings, but you develop what's the word?
Affection.
And not there's a word I'm looking for. You develop a connection with them in such a way, like there's friends that you miss. Yeah, do you know what I mean? There's friends that you've not texted each other in a couple of days, like you're just like, what's going on? But imagine then when it's the opposite sex. Yeah. So it's not like these feelings can be developed so easily, even without us like realizing, or without us, even without you trying. These emotions can come, and I think the other person who, let's say you're in a mentor relationship, also has a part to play. Definitely. As well. I don't think the onus is just on the person who has emotions, because there's a way you conduct yourself as well that will give room for people to for that to grow. Or for that to I know, right?
Today you're looking beautiful. Like, why you want to do that to your mentee? Like, especially of the opposite gender. Every time she comes for counseling or he comes for counseling, always comforting. That they're gonna fall for you, especially if they're
exactly. They're gonna fall for you, and like speaking like late at night and those kind of things. This is not to prescribe a set of rules or anything, because there are several circumstances that means that things don't fall into are not as black and white. But it's just to say that there is a way we conduct ourselves as well that means that these relationships, you can either give room for it to grow, or you can squash it quite quickly.
Yeah. Can I ask something?
Yeah.
What do you think about like mentor relationships that are so close in age? So, for example, a lady who is 25 and her mentor is 26. So they're basically like,
who's mentoring them?
No, but Pastor Cav these days, like that's what it's like.
The anointing is dropping on people on an early age.
Yeah, there's a lot of like young ministers that have grown very quickly in mentoring. So me personally, I'm seeing a lot of mentor-mentee relationships.
That's
where they're very close. It might not be 1 or 2 years, but they feel very close. Like you could be like, So basically, in the mentor relationship, there's not even like
that's a good one.
There's no boundary, like, because you're like my bro. It's just like you put mentor on top of it, but really you're potential. Do you know what I mean? So what do you think about that?
Do you know, I love that question so much, because it's real. Because it's I think it's more difficult for you to see it, Baba. Although in this day and age, the white beard can leave them with the minor. But it's
not daddy vibes.
Yeah, people like their daddy. Anyway, going back to your question, do you know it's real? I don't know how can you deal with that? I think. Shall I speak from the side of the mentee or the mentor? Honestly, it's real, and I think it's one of those things that we need to begin to talk about. I think, first of all, the mentors should realize that they're not Superman or Superwoman. And sometimes you feel like you're gonna put on that cloak, that hero cloak. I'm gonna save you. I'm gonna wrap you my arms. I'm gonna solve your problems. And that's usually the danger. That's the kind of danger where you cannot refer the lady. The lady is having period pains, and you want to solve her problem. She's having breast pain, and you want to ask her about her period. You want to prescribe medicine for her. When the other women in the church you can refer her to. She's having dreams of somebody coming to molest her at night, and she's seeing things on her bed, and you want to handle that case alone. You are laying your bed, and the devil is helping you handle your duvet. And you're spreading everything right for the right time. So that mentor relationship, if it's close in age, you need to put extra guard.
Yeah.
It's like it's like if I haven't got any wound on me, I don't have any reason not to be putting a plaster on my hand. There's no plaster on my hand. I've not got a wound. I can rub you and I'm going to be okay. But imagine if I had a wound on this, I dare not rub you because it will be extra sensitive. It will hurt more. So when you are in that situation where you know that you cannot do what everybody else does because you will fall in trouble, put extra guards, put your plaster on. Don't go and rub on the next person because it will.
Somebody said in the chat that sometimes we continue to put ourselves in that situation because we actually like
the emotions.
I think that's such a good point. I think sometimes if we really do a self-check and we reflect, when we find ourselves in a position where we have fallen, I will use the word love now because it's gone past just an attraction.
Yeah, it's like something you want to do something about.
Now like you want to do something. Like, did we put ourselves in that position? You know, like did I put myself in the position to fall in love with this person that I shouldn't? So for example, I'm now at a point where I'm in love with my friend's husband. Because I actually have a friendship with my friend's husband. You know, we have like prior to him marrying his wife, actually, I had a friendship with my friend's husband. So we talk. After he married, we still talk. You know, we message each other, you know, on Instagram. We do
send each other memes.
We do. Yeah, like sometimes, basically, I'm just trying to say that sometimes we create the situations for ourselves because there's something in us.
I was gonna say
there's something in us that likes whatever it is that is happening here.
Yeah, I'm gonna share an example for myself because I think we're supposed to be real here. Amen.
Amen.
So like the example that you gave about liking your friends, your best friends. It's not your fault in court. Let me explain. Okay, it's your fault. But imagine if you're always with that person. You're single.
Yeah.
You're always with that person.
The
person has what you like. He's
caring.
You see the way he treats his wife.
Oh, Lord.
She cannot even call. He's there.
See, have you women ever been broody? You've seen a mother with a child. You want to have. You said, please let me just give me this child, even this for a few moments, and then you'll hand the child back. I just want to experience this love. It does happen.
Yeah,
it does.
And well, who are you going to tell if you love your best friend's husband? Are you going to tell your best friend?
You're not going to tell your best friend.
But then I think you should. The moment you notice this, you should stop visiting that house.
Yeah.
The moment you notice this, like you should treat it like a cancer.
Yeah.
Like, forget the fact that there is a potential of breaking somebody's marriage. Your relationship with your friend, your relationship with God. Just as I said, I cannot do this wickedness against God and against my leader, whatever what he said. So I don't know what you guys want to say.
You know what? I'm going to give a personal story, and it's a very long time ago. I wasn't married then, and I was working somewhere. I was with my husband now, and I don't want to say too much. I don't want anybody to point things out. But like I said, very very long. I've been married 10 years, so it's way before this. But I started noticing some vibes from one of the people I was working with. And then people would make comments that, bear in mind, I was with my husband. We weren't married yet, but we knew we were getting married. So people would like make comments, you know, that about maybe people that didn't know I was with someone or something, would just like say comments, but there were moments where we had to be together in the same space. Only a fool would not know that something chemistry was. I was like, and then I sat myself down one day like, wait, what's all this? And left the job.
Wow.
I'm just like, because not because like I thought something was going to happen because I was sure of myself. But let's not even give room for the enemy. Let's not even explore what this could look like. Let's not bump into each other by accident one day. Let him not, give me a ride home one day where
I'll come to that ride.
let him not give me a ride home one day where he's not playing he's not playing Marvin Gaye or something. I don't know what the love songs are. But when he's not playing that, then everybody is now, giving each other glances. And I thought, you know what? I left because I thought to myself, this is giving me vibes that I don't know where this could lead to. And even though I'm sure of myself, and to some extent, I knew that this person was a decent person, but I could not shake off the just the chemistry that was. And I thought, you know what? Let's not even, not because I didn't need a job or whatever, but I knew that this could, or it's already got the ingredients of a dangerous situation. Let's leave it. Let's leave it out. And then I left that job. So it is possible to nip certain things in the bud, and that's not the time to start testing how strong you are. Because I could have stayed and just said, I'm getting married soon, and all of those things. I wasn't even going to give room. And the grace of God. I mean, not like I had all the wisdom in the world, but the little wisdom I had, I just knew that it wasn't something to carry on with.
So do you want to add something before I just want to share something about this riding in the car thing?
Yeah. I was going to talk about that's also happened to me. Similar, where I found myself when I was with someone, I found myself, nothing was happening, but you could just tell that there was, and this is somebody who we actually had like a relationship. So we were friends. And then I started to just notice something is up. And I actually had to say to the person, I said, as much as I value our friendship, and I don't necessarily think anything is going to happen, I said, I can't really be speaking to you anymore. And I really value that friendship because apart from the fact that there was something there, the person played a very important role in my life. But I had to weigh up
all of the,
and it's not that anything was happening, is that I could see that there was a potential for something to start to develop if I'm not careful. And the day where maybe the person I was with annoys me, it's all over. And I make one phone call. And this is somebody who cares for you. So it's not as if this is somebody who cares for you because of the relationship that you have. One phone call like this, obviously they'll run to your rescue. So I've been in a similar situation before. Another thing I wanted to mention as well about the marriage situation, maybe like having feelings for your friend's husband, is that when you're that close, you have privilege of knowing things that are happening in their marriage. And I think many times what feeds on your infatuation or what feeds on your likeness is the fact that you're just like, well, they're not really working. And I will be better. I just want to say that the fact that there's issues in the marriage does not validate your feelings. And it doesn't validate the fact that it's okay. Is what I'm essentially trying to say.
That's how some married men, that's how some married men trap other women with like, I'm going to leave her. I'm going to things are not working out. She wasn't the one for me. And then they get into it and like, oopsie.
So I'm going to piggyback on that. I'm going to piggyback on that. There was this writing that he said. So I know I like this movie because I was just listening to the shot. So that's cool. I remember when I was working in I was a married woman then. And I was working like late shifts, like 12-hour shifts. So maybe 12 p.m. to like 12 midnight. Or sometimes I used to do twilight shifts where I'll finish at 2 a.m. Okay. And then of course you go home at 2 a.m. There was a bus directly from my house to the hospital, so I had to get on the bus. And sometimes at 2 a.m. there's no bus. Okay, so on those days I'll drive to work. Then on this particular day there was something that happened. I didn't take the bus. I took the bus, and of course there was no bus. And so it was like midnight, and I was stranded. And then this Nigerian doctor saw that this woman is looking a bit lost. So he said, "What's the problem?" Mrs. Isiave said, I have no transport, I have no means of getting home. He was like, hop in my car, I'll give you a lift. This was midnight. This was either midnight or 2 a.m. As a married woman, I'll tell you guys what I did, but as a married woman, what should I have done? Yeah. So I basically called my husband. I was like, babe, this is the situation, or there is a guy that has offered to take me home. My husband and I said, okay, if he wants to thank him, give me his number. I don't know if you really wanted to thank him anyway. So yeah, I took the guy's number. We were working together, but I never had his number. I took his number, but I never saved his number on my phone. Stop saving numbers on your phone. No, seriously, stop. I saved the number to my husband's phone, and I deleted it because that doctor was a ladies' man. All the nurses. There's only one time a nurse sat on his lap in the middle of where patient are. That's the kind of person this guy was. He was a danger. So as soon as I sent my husband the message with his name, I took off and I didn't save his number. And of course in the car it was that kind of music was playing. So when I got home, my husband was waiting for me at the gate. So my husband showed me that I'm the lion of the tribe of this house. Step. I think sometimes when there's no one protecting you, you're vulnerable.
Yeah.
But I had somebody protecting me at home. So it was much more difficult for me to fall for this.
Yeah.
So the next day, I realized that okay, we enjoyed the ride home. So I said, I'm not gonna wait for something to happen. Nothing ever happened, nothing ever crossed my mind. But I said, I'm not gonna wait because there is a potential. There is a potential for this guy to be dropping me at home at midnight, at 2 a.m. So what do I want to do? I had a choice to make. I was working in Hackney. I said, I'm gonna drive to work. And I'm gonna have to look for parking as far as parking is, and then I would walk to work. And then at those times of the night, if I was waking up late that time, probably just take a taxi. There were times my husband came to pick me up, but I'm not going to say because it is convenient. Because it's convenient. It's convenient for you to have for your wife to travel for 1 or 2 weeks, and for you to have a member of the house come and look after your children, and you guys stay in the same house. It's convenient, but you're going to put yourself in the place of vulnerability because it's convenient. And so to answer your question, Sibeso, I think it's best to see the moment you can see we're adults. Is there a potential for something? Don't wait for the butterfly to develop. The moment you can say this is a possibility, flee. And you may think, oh, I'm being a bit extra, but trust me, it's better for you to be extra than for you to dabble, and then everybody's not counseling you or trying to help you. It's more difficult to come out from when you've gone into something. It's much more difficult to come out. So please flee.
And sorry, I was just going to say that one of the liquid tests that I would say then I had when the situation arose with the guy at work that I was sent to some chemistry with was that I said to myself, because some people say, oh, nothing could ever happen anyway because I'm in a relationship or I'm about to get married, whatever the case may be. I said to myself, okay, let's say I was never married, I was never in a relationship, I was never going to get married, and I was single. Would this guy be an option? Like, would I consider him? Would I have ever considered him? If the answer is yes, that is my right. So even if the answer is no, but I'm just saying that as a liquid test as to what you do. If he would have been my type, if he would have been someone that I could have dated, if he would have been, eligible, in quotes, if I was not taken, that is your sign to leave that sort of don't be thinking, oh, but it can never happen because he's taken and he's this and he's that. If he would have been your type without any of the external circumstances, that's your cue to get out of there.
Wow. Completely agree. I think I just wanted to say that let's be honest, like women, we know our proclivities. Like we know what ticks the box. We know what gets us going. We know what turns us on. Me now, even just and I think And I want to mention that it's very important to do the work to become very self-aware. Like you have to get to a place. I think being self-aware and going on the journey to knowing yourself fully, both good and bad, is very important because I think it would help you just in life in general. Like you know when to say no to things, you know when to like turn things down, you know how to set your boundaries, you know like what you can say. Now I know what no friendships I can't have.
Should we be having no friendship? Okay, sorry. Let's go on track. I don't have male friends. I'm the personal choice I've made. I have male brothers.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But they're your biological brothers.
No.
Okay, so
Yeah,
what
they are
like
spiritual brothers.
well, yeah, what's the difference between them and
They are my husband's brothers.
your husband's friends
My
that have
husband's,
not
my
friends
husband's friends that have become his brothers.
brothers? And now,
Oh,
and
okay.
so there were relationships that you met through
Through my husband, yeah. But I don't have any male friends that my husband is not friends with. But anyways, that's just me. I'm not sorry. Carry on. I digress.
I have no friends.
There's nothing wrong in having male friends.
There's nothing wrong in having no
I have male friends, but we're all friends.
Yeah.
I do think that
It's a community
I
friendship.
was going to say that if you are like in a committed relationship or if you're married, it is wise if you have friends of the opposite sex to make sure that the friendship is between all of us.
Yeah.
I was just gonna, I want to say that, but I was gonna say now I know guys that we can't be friends, and it's not like it's not as if we've not even had more than 2 conversations. I know that we cannot be friends, and the reason we cannot be friends is because I mean, I know myself. I know what ticks the boxes. I know what's going to happen here. I know that there's character, there's things about you. And if it's not so, if you're single and I'm single and I can see that, okay, that's different. That's different. If it's, you're both single and this is a potential to somebody, oh, this is a potential, that's different. But just in terms of us, just to be having friends, you're signing yourself up to just fall. So I think that's another thing. Like you need to know your proclivity. Be aware. Like don't fool yourself and say, I'm saying nothing can happen. No, you're still a human being. So know that okay, this is a weakness. I have to stay away. Just beforehand.
Yeah. Wow. I think we have some questions on slide, but before we go in there, I was gonna ask also, like, so if you find yourself in that situation, how do you come out? So, for example, take Samson for example. Samson was supposed to deliver the Philistines, but he was in love with the enemy.
Yeah.
Or like Leah being in love with her sister's husband.
Yeah.
I remember there was a time that Leah was like, "Oh, like you want to speak to my husband?" I'm like, "Huh? What husband was this?" Like, and she basically exchanged Jacob for her son's man Drake. And she was like, "Rachel, you can have him." But I'm like, "Hello, Rachel was the original owner of my name." Well, how do we deal with that? So we found ourselves in that situation where you actually you don't just like them now, it's now mutual. You guys are now in it. Like Samson and Delilah, Leah and Jacob. What?
So basically there's feelings developed on both ends.
You're both in love with yourself, so
and you know it's wrong.
You know it's wrong. So basically the no-go areas.
Yeah.
What are the no-go areas? So people, what are the no-go areas? What do you think the no-go areas are? So if somebody who's married. That's an example.
Yeah, somebody who's married, obviously, what Christians, we're just going to believe people on here who are not Christian.
Yeah.
So Christians, another no-go area is an attraction to the same sex.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know we haven't really talked about that too much, but it is a thing.
Of course,
yeah. So that's another no-go area. As Christians.
Yeah.
I would say, I know.
Or even but somebody also who you know will drag you into ungodliness.
That's good. That's a good one.
Yeah. So like somebody who's like
they might be very single and available,
but you know that this is because I think that's probably even a very common one.
Absolutely.
Being with someone that you know that this is going to. If I wanted the ticket to hell, this is staring at me in the face.
Yeah, I think those ones are the most difficult ones to come up. Yeah, I've been there in the past. I think you try to justify yourself, and you begin to hear God speak. I think Greg has spoken about it. You begin to hear God to say it's okay.
Yeah.
The wife there's a scripture that says the wife sanctifies the husband. I begin to just pull scriptures, but how do we come out of those
situations? I also wanted to add, like, where you mentioned somebody that would drive into ungodliness. I think this also includes our so-called saved brothers. I think that there are people I know that we're all Christians and stuff like that, but I feel like people are in different levels of their faith. People are in different levels of their faith. And I feel like depending on where you're at, you're not going to save that brother. So I think if you can tell that this person is actually going to take both of you down to a place of compromise. I just wanted to mention that some people might be thinking someone who is not saved, but this could also include someone that is saved and is still working out their salvation. But I think I was going to also mention, I would say not just married men, but I would say that men who are engaged to be married, not just men and women. Men and women that are engaged to be married. And also, I would also add personally, I know people have different opinions about this, but just men and women who are in committed relationships. They might
some people are okay with, like, as long as he's not married.
I saw a comment, and I feel like a lot of people think that way. Somebody said here that he's single until he's married. And I feel like a lot of people, Pastor Carl, I speak to a lot of women who that's the case.
Yes, I agree with you.
Including Christian women.
Yes.
In their minds, as long as the man is not married,
I've heard that.
He could be in the wrong relationship.
And
they're very available. And as far as they're concerned, he's also available. They're not going to actively break up the relationship, but
and people pray for the breakup as well.
So, absolutely.
When I say this, I'm not saying this to judge you if that's you who's praying for somebody's relationship to break up, but if that's to you, because I've been in that situation where somebody was really wishing for me, people were really wishing for me to break up with them. With my husband when we were dating, and some of them even came and told me, like, I don't like bold enough about it. They said, I don't even like you anymore. But anyways, so I think the moment you get to that point where you're praying for somebody's relationship to break up, forget the fact that it's relationship now between dating relationship. Like, I think we're supposed to be Christ-like. I know they say WWJD, what would Jesus do? But really, what would Jesus do? It's somebody's success, it's somebody's promotion. If, on the other hand, you think that, okay, maybe this person, maybe you saw an angel, authentic angel, angel Gabriel really came from heaven, and you saw his badge. And that angel said that this person, they're not meant to be together. It's not your place to be praying that they should break up. Can you just pray, God, let your will be done in this person's life. Let your will be done in this person's relationship. Let's not carry the job of the Holy Spirit. Because at the end of the day, these things backfire, and you just want to guard your heart with all diligence. Because out of it, you don't want to become a bitter person who is always bitter about people's relationships and all that. Even though, God help us all.
But I still find that quite people like
in committed relationships.
People in committed relationships, someone they see them as a potential. To me, it shows more about you than it does about and like to me that reveals a lot of insecurity and a lack of trust in God that He doesn't have better for you. It doesn't even have to be better. Like He doesn't have your own that has been fashioned and designed for you. To the fact that you could think that somebody that's committed to somebody else could still be yours.
I think if somebody is already committed to someone, I think there's a question like that. So maybe we should just
sure.
So that leads into the question. I think this one.
Okay. So I'll read out the question so that everybody can hear. The question reads, I believe this guy I am talking to is my husband, but he is with someone else. Do I wait for him or does that mean wait? Do I wait for him or move on with my life? I can't shake this feeling.
Let me say
We're taking it in. Like I said, there's no judgments on bring the questions coming in. We're not going to answer questions after tonight. We're going to sleep. So please ask your questions. Yeah.
Can I ask the question again?
Yeah. So she believes that the guy she's talking to is her husband, but he's with someone else. She hasn't defined where, well, I guess he's unmarried or he's in a relationship. Is what I'm assuming. Do I wait for him or move on with my life? I can't shake this feeling. For me, this is danger. This is why. If a guy who is with somebody else is having conversations with you that is already making you think that he is the one, best believe when he gets with you, he'll be having a conversation with another woman, telling her that you are not the one, and she needs to wait for him. This alone speaks to the character of the man, speaks to his integrity, speaks to his relationship with God. Anybody who walks with the Lord and fears the Lord, I mean, and I don't know whether this comes from Christian or not, but I'm going to make the assumption that this is probably a believer, or to some extent. Anybody who walks with the Lord, who fears the Lord, any ounce of respect and honor for God will not be in a committed relationship whilst telling another woman that she could potentially be, his spouse as well, and she needs to wait for him. My sister, move on with your life. And I can tell you, not because I've been given a prophetic insight or anything like that, like this is not the will of God for you right now, because it reeks of sin, it reeks of ungodliness, it reeks of devices that are not godly. If this is the way you start your relationship, how do you intend to carry on? And like I said, a man who is speaking to two different women or is in a committed relationship and entertaining another woman, he will do the same to you.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think I have the question now. Yeah, I think to be honest, the short answer is yes, my sis, my good sis. Move on, move on with your life, and I can almost feel the person's heart because I can tell that the person is genuinely in love with this guy, like they genuinely believe that it's God. And I'm asking the question to myself: one, what is making you believe that this person is your husband? Is it something, if you're a Christian, is it something that God has shown you? Now, if it's something that you believe that God is not an author of confusion. When people tell me that God has shown them that somebody is their husband while the person is in a relationship, I'm going to be completely honest. I'm questioning that God. Because the God that I know, he would not, even if that was the case, God will not show you while the person is in a committed relationship with somebody else. What kind of messed up? Like, I mean, what kind of messed up thing is? What's that supposed to do to you? What's that supposed to do to your walk with God? I think what's that supposed to do to your heart? Because the truth of the matter is, no matter how good you are as a human being, if you're seeing the person that you believe is your husband with another woman, I'm a bit good woman, but my heart towards that woman is true. It would not. There's no way it can be pure. There's no way. I'm going to be feeling like I'll start comparing myself to her. I'll start thinking that she's not even all that beautiful.
These are all like seeds of unrighteousness that will start to build up on the inside of you.
Exactly. So my answer to you, sis, would be move on with your life. God is not an author of confusion. There's no way. If you feel like it's something that you're hearing God say, sis, I think you need to go back to your prayer closet and sit with God and find out where this thing came from. Listen, God has better for your own portion, your own inheritance. I don't know where we get this thing from that there's not enough to go around. Just generally life. I know there's a lot of things online and on blogs that there's a shortage of men, and but there's plenty.
God still has sons.
God still has sons. Oh, listen, let me tell you. I have a lot of good brothers. Don't come to me, I'm joking. But yes, let's move on with your life. Move on with your life.
I agree so much. And I think something I want to say is just to add to what everyone has said. You said you can't shake this feeling. You can.
Yeah, that's right.
You can shake it. Do you know how I know you can shake it? This guy will not die. Well, imagine if you were lacking somebody who suddenly dies. you're not married to him. It's different if you become a widow. You're not even dating this person. You're not in a committed relationship. You just like this guy, and he sees from the realm of humanity on earth. The chances of you still liking him and not shaking the feeling are very low. So instead, you're talking to him. You're feeding the feelings. My advice to you is to tell the guy, I know we're not in a relationship, but we are in quote in a when a funny situation. You know, I want to guide my heart, and I want to guard my heart. I think we need to cut off this relationship. And if the guy flips, just thank God that God has just revealed and saved you from trouble. So my sister, like everybody has said, please don't wait for him. Move on with your life. And if you need help, if you need counseling, please by all means seek counseling, but don't seek counseling and carry on speaking to this person. He needs to go. Bye bye. Delete his number. I don't know why people say people's numbers. Honestly, just delete. There's nothing wrong in deleting number.
Yeah, absolutely. And just not to flog this too much, but just to say to you that like God is writing your own love story. That does not include dishonor. That does not include something that doesn't bring glory to His name. And just be rest assured that God is the author of your own story, and He writes it beautifully. That doesn't need to contain all of these things.
Absolutely. So there's another question. It says that it's not really a question, is it a question? It says, how can you fall in love with your mentor? Then that is not mentorship.
You can fall in love with your mentor. Absolutely. Whether or not it's mentorship, that's that one is a different case altogether, depending on what kind of, I don't know what's going on there. But you can absolutely, I think it's very, very easy to fall in love with somebody. Like you were speaking earlier, like your mentor, if it's an active mentor in your life, you're constantly having communication. And a mentor is somebody that you trust with the deeper secrets of your heart. Like this is somebody that you would tell as in everything, your life to. And normally when you have that kind of connection or relationship with someone where you're vulnerable, you're open, there's already like opportunity for a soul tie. Whether it's even a friendship, obviously there's good soul ties in friendships and in marriages and things like that. But a mentor-mentee relationship, you're telling this person about your weaknesses, you're telling this person about your life, you're telling this person about your failures, you're open, and then they affirm you, they encourage you, they tell you what God is saying. It's very, very easy.
It's very easy. So when I say it is, as somebody says that's lack of professionalism and it's out of character. Does anybody want to make any comments? So I agree that it's lack of professionalism. If they do take things and they begin to in their mentor-mentee relationship, they begin to do things.
The truth of the matter is that everybody has a degree of brokenness. Even as a mentor, if being put in the right circumstances could activate a level of a level of brokenness in you that you did not even know was there. So I don't think this is to say that the person is bad or the person doesn't have professionalism. It's just to say that you guard your heart. Both relationships, like guard your heart. Nobody is bulletproof. Nobody is, nobody is made of steel. So as long as you put the right boundaries and the right parameters in place, then you can ensure that these things don't happen. But to think that it can only happen to people who lack professionalism, I think a lot of people can fall victim to these things because it just feeds or they've just been put in the right circumstance.
Somebody asked the question. Pastor, you want to read that? Have you got yours on?
I can see. Yes, I've got this one.
Yeah, the one from Sylvester.
So the question is it also something that can be nurtured? I think we're trying to nurtured in a godly way. So it starts off as mentorship, but develops out of that because people don't stay mentors forever. Okay, I think I understand what she's asking. So she's basically saying that can the relationship between a mentor and a mentee, maybe if you notice you're both single, I'm assuming what she means is that the mentor is single, the mentee
in the right circumstances.
In the right circumstances, maybe the feelings start to develop, but they still maintain a level of professionalism to the mentor. And then maybe the person is no longer a mentor, for example. Because mentors sometimes are just for seasons. And then after that, it develops into actually something that, is godly.
Definitely. So let's not box God in terms of, because single, if you're single, mingle, you know. Because if the person is married, that's where things become a little bit different.
Or unavailable. And I was just gonna say, but just be with mentor-mentee relationships, even if you're both available, good to go and all of that good stuff. Just be careful, because in every relationship where there is a power dynamic, you have to be careful that you're not falling in love with what this person can bring for you. Or what they do for you, and actually not the actual person. Because it can be so easy to fall in love with someone who is available, who exudes wisdom, who has gone somewhere that you desire to go, who is wiser than you perhaps, who's older than you. All of these things are very attractive, but doesn't make up the sum of the person. So where there is a power dynamic where one person has the upper hand, you just have to be careful that actually I'm not infatuated with the idea of this person, and I've gotten to know this person enough to know that I actually love the person and know what they bring to the table.
I think that ties in nicely with the next question. It says, how do I tell my pastor's wife I fall in love with her husband?
Please don't tell her. She's not the person to tell. That's not the
So I guess we have to go back to how did this happen? How did this start? So have you been last I give the example of myself when I was in the lecture room, and everybody was telling me how handsome this lecturer was. Was I going to go and meet the lecturer after class and say, please explain this biology to me? So if you find yourself in this situation, then I think it's time, not a break from the church, but a break from having to go to that person every single time to get your bread of life. Because you're going to continue being fed. And half the things they're telling you, you're not going to be listening. You're just going to be saying, oh God, this is like, and then you know what? And then if you carry on that route, and the pastor's wife is praying, but every but if you carry on that route and you continue feeding that, and you continue longing for that pastor, forget the fact that he's your pastor, he's married. So let us stick to whether he's a president or he's a pastor or he's your neighbor. The fact is that he has that title of a married man. The Bible talks about how God really takes marriage so seriously, the wedding bed undefiled, and Bible says he will judge.
He will judge together.
What God has put together, no man puts us on, and he will judge whoremongers, basically people who try and defile the bed. So forget about the fact that he has the title. I understand that maybe he's in a position whereby a trusted relationship, but see him first as a married man, and see yourself first as a Christian. How should you handle that situation? How should you comfort yourself in that situation?
And I think the question of, were you going to say something? I think the question was asking, like, should they go to the wife?
Oh yeah, but I think they've answered that already. That I personally, let me just, if it's God forbid, I don't know if it's me, but everybody's different. I personally, I don't know, but would I?
Do you want the person to come and tell you?
Honestly speaking, let me tell you this about myself. Let me tell you guys about my background. I have come from a background where, when I was dating my husband, before I started dating my husband, there was a list that was drawn out, and I can't remember how many ladies had a crush on him because of the anointing. And this was before my own crush for him lasted just 1 week because I killed it. I said, but I'm not going to join this number. I'm not part of the staff. I'm not part of the staff. So when it was time, he came chasing.
That's right.
And honestly speaking, remember, after that crush died, everything it disappeared. And even when it was time, it was, but anyways, I digress. Where was I now? So yeah, it got to a point whereby people were telling me, I like your man, I don't like you. And my husband said something to me, and it was getting to me.
It's very brave.
Oh, yeah, very brave. People were brave. Some people said, oh, your relationship is not going to last. Some people treated me very bad. Somebody, one of them even called me one time, and she was like, we knew blah blah blah. She liked him, and she called me. She said, what does your fiance? We just started this. She called me, and she said, what does your fiance like for his birthday? I already knew. And I was like, I can't remember what I said to her, but this was so many years ago. But I remember this conversation, and she said to me, would you like to go to Alton Towers or one of these theme parks for them to go. Not us, not three of us, but for them to go
and enjoy them.
and enjoy themselves. I can't remember the answer. I can't remember the answer that I gave her. People are brave. People are brave. People are brave. I can't remember the answer I gave her, but I remember speaking to my husband and telling him that the amount of girls that were coming against me. And my husband said to me that God is building a tough skin for you. No. He's building up. Suck it up. Suck it up. No, he didn't suck it up. But basically, God is building a thick skin for you, because where my husband is going, I will be living in fool's paradise. My husband is fine. He's anointed. I'll be living in fool's paradise to think that nobody will ever like him. But maybe if somebody comes to me, I don't know. But honestly speaking, as I'm sitting down to you right now, if you're a daughter to me and I have that relationship with me, I will tell you, I will counsel you like I will counsel you. No. I will counsel you like I will counsel any other person. But that's just me. Some other people,
I just don't think it's
right.
wise. Yeah. I just don't think it's wise. And I think that sometimes, there are some people who they feel like in their desire, not even in their desire, that there's this twisted nature that they're looking for attention. Like they pretend like they're trying to do the right thing, but it's a twisted kind of attention seeking. So they'll go around and say, tell them, I think I know this store. What do you think I should do? There's that twisted kind of twisted. I've met a few people like that. So whilst they might sound, very honorable, I went to, I felt this emotion, but I want to speak to her about it, ask her, to confess, and that's not wise. If you're gonna deal with these emotions that you're feeling, and you are a true believer who wants to deal with it, start internally, go to God. I'm not saying that there isn't a place where you go to other people. Who you go to is where we start having that. We'll have a different conversation, but start with the person who created you, who knows how you are wired, who knows your intricacies. A true person who really doesn't want to have these emotions is not going to go around flaunting it. Start with God, and God, I don't want to feel this. Take these feelings away from me. Start there. If then you're really, really struggling, there should be trusted elders that you could go to and work through this. And I'm not saying you don't need to go to the board of trustees. I'm going to make an announcement that this is what I've been struggling with. You just use some discretion, some wisdom, and ensure that your intention is really to gain help with not feeling this, as opposed to seeking attention and drawing unnecessary drama. That doesn't need it.
Definitely. I definitely think speak to somebody. I don't think it's the kind of thought that you should keep to yourself. I think speak to somebody about it, but I wouldn't go to my pastor's wife. And the only reason, and me, it's not even for her sake, it's for me. I'm not gonna lie, the shame. These days there's no shame.
It's true.
I cannot imagine myself going to my pastor's wife and opening my mouth to say, Ma. I don't know about anybody else. So I've
been feeling your husband. Our daddy has been entering my eye.
How do I even have? And I feel like these days, obviously maybe I don't know what kind of relationship people have with their own, but me, I have a lot of, how there's certain things that you wouldn't go to your parents. And it's not because you don't want to let them know. It's just, I don't know, there's just from a place of just honor and regard, and it wouldn't allow me to go to my pastor's wife and say that kind of thing, me personally. I wouldn't advise it. It's not that it's wrong. I just wouldn't advise it. And for the sake of even and if you want to continue to have a relationship with the person going forwards, I don't know. I think it's a bit tricky, but I would definitely say speak to somebody. Yeah, definitely. A mature person in the faith. Not your friend either. Not your friend where you guys will probably make jokes about it once or twice.
Someone that can actually help you.
And counsel you.
Not just gist.
And that's you.
I think one thing I want to say, even though I think you've asked the question and you said that it's not right, I think I want to answer a question that somebody else might be asking, or this person might have asked, but not really asked, in terms of how one can deal with these things. Like I said, like how would you if you God forbid got a bad report and the diagnosis was that you had like 1 year to live, God forbid diagnosis of cancer, or your loved one was dying, how would you deal with the situation? That's how we should deal. You will be serious in the place of prayer, in the place of fasting, in the place of seeking help. Because even though I said that, see him as a married man first before you see him as a pastor. So you've seen him as a married man now, but now this is the person that God has placed over your life to give you spiritual help, not marital. Not marital companionship. So I think, I'm going to say, wherever you are, take this seriously, that this is a noble area. And honestly speaking, apart from the fact that married men or married relationships are noble area, there are certain offices that you don't want to delve into. I remember there was a story that Pastor Adeboye shared. Of course, this person is not saying that they want to do anything different, but there was a woman who, I won't tell you what the story and how the story ended. We'll leave that for you to listen to the message one day. But how there was a woman who was always sliding and always wanted to say, "Oh, daddy, I love you," blah, 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 blah. And basically warned her and said, "You know what, woman, don't do. And anyways, long and short of story is that she basically, Bible says, touch no man, don't tell them otherwise God will fight you. So that is one office. And you don't want to. The marriage itself is not where you want to go, but then there's now deeper. The Bible talks about how those who are in authority should be given double honor. So there's extra layer. There's an extra layer that you're delving into that you don't want to actually meddle with or go to. So please, whoever you ask, seek help quickly. And I think this ties into the next question.
The next question is, I have feeling for the same sex as that one that you're.
Oh, this one ties into the next one. Should I tell my friend?
Okay, should I tell my friend that I have feelings for her husband? Why?
You say why would you tell your friend?
We go. No, go. I think we can pause. We'll wait for you to speak.
I'm trying to fathom how this seems like a good. So let's say you were to tell, where do we go from there? I think one thing I think I've got my thoughts together. One thing we have to think about is when we're trying to address issues like this is be solution driven. Sometimes some of these conversations are actually just escalating the problem, bringing attention to the problem. So if you really have a crush on your friend's husband that you want to get rid of, what's the friend going to do? So if somebody comes to tell me they have feelings for my husband, knock my door. She's not going to invite you to her house, or she's going to be raising an altar of prayer for you. What is she supposed to do? Let's really think about how is this going to help this situation. So if it isn't, do the things that will help get rid of those emotions, not the things that will just bring more attention and more drama to the circumstance. So I personally don't think that's a good idea, telling your friend that situation. The work starts with you. You do the work of removing yourself from that situation. Going to their house.
Stop it. Yeah.
If you're mind your business. It's their relationship, their marriage has nothing to do with you. Tell someone trusted with wisdom that can help navigate the situation, pray for you, keep you accountable, direct you, what to do, what not to do. But telling the friend, in my opinion, is literally just causing drama. I don't see how that would help.
Yeah, true. I was going to also say that, in addition to what you said, Pascal, and I completely agree, is that a lot of times in these situations, I think what happens is that we prioritize wanting to alleviate our guilt over
Yes, because when you think about it, you wanting to do that, you wanting to just
get it off your chest, make yourself.
You want to make yourself feel better about the fact that you found yourself in a position where you have actually fallen for your friend's husband. So that takes priority now. Like even you can't bring yourself to look at yourself in the mirror and come to terms with the fact that you, Christian sister,
has now fallen
in love. So that takes priority one over you actually dealing with the situation. And it takes priority over your friend's feelings as well. So in this situation, it's not your love for your friend that is at play.
It's the driving force.
That's not the driving force. Because I think if it's the love for your friend, your action will be to deal with the situation. Like you said, which is the solution. And solution is let me go and tell Apostle. Because Apostle will get you right. The answer is let me go and tell like somebody that is going to knock some sense into my head. I'm not sure about telling the friend. I think I want to make a distinction. There's a difference between if your friend's husband or someone that's coming to you. That one is different. Like say for example, your friend's fiance or your wife's I'll keep using men.
Spouse, your
spouse. Yeah, your friend's spouse is coming on to you. There's a place for going to speak to your friend about
straight talk.
Like go and speak to your friend and say, listen, I don't want to break your marriage or anything, but look at the message that this person sent me. It's inappropriate.
Should you do that? Should you go directly to the friend or should you go to
I have a rule. I have a way I don't know if it's the right way or not the right way. But the first time I would address the man directly and I would give him an opportunity to speak to his wife. That's the way I deal with the situation. And I would tell him that if this happens again, I just want you to know that I'm either going to tell Pastor this or I'm going to go straight to your wife. That's how I deal with it. So in the first instance, I won't go to the wife. I would give the guy an opportunity to address the situation. And then whatever it is that has caused you to do this, you need to have a conversation with your wife about what just happened.
Because one day it will come out.
It will come out one day. So in that situation, definitely speak to your friend. But the other situation, what's your driving force? Why are you going to tell your friend? Is it just to alleviate your guilt? And if that's the case, then sis, that's not okay.
But I was just going to add to that. So I know you asked the question about if you are in love, but if both of you are not in love. So I know you didn't ask that, but I think let us look at questions where people haven't answered. If both of you are not in love, you need to go and report yourself to somebody quickly. And there's no shame in that. You know what? We are talking about the one who was causing the act of adultery, and Jesus Christ said, everybody should just hold themselves. That's in the first too. But I think sometimes when we want to bring ourselves from something and we begin to open up lives or we begin to try and do things with our own hand, we enter deeper. And the deeper you get into this, it will become messy. So if you guys are happy, I know that's the question, but if you guys are now in love with yourselves, if you're Christians, please go to the pastor and seek help immediately because this needs to be dealt with ASAP. And I think there was somebody who said that we should stop mentioning the C word. Okay, that's fine. And I did that intentionally because I want to show you how serious these things are. Because, for example, if it's like you've got a toe problem and you cut off the thing, you can just put plaster on. But there are things that you need to do that are urgent and you need to deal with immediately with immediate effect. So that's why I use that word. Okay. Anybody want to add anything before we go to the next question?
No, that question.
I'm leaving. There's a question I'm leaving to the last. But then, what about this one?
How do you know you have fallen in love with the wrong person?
How do you know
with the wrong person?
I think it's a big question.
But who is the wrong person? I think it depends on which. I mean, do they mean in this context or just in general?
I don't know who asked that question. Do you want to clarify?
I think if they're saying how do you know I don't know if they're asking how do you know that you have fallen in love.
Very quick, can I answer that then? How do you fallen in love?
Okay. How do you know you're falling in love? Maybe.
Okay, so how do you know you're falling in love? I have the answer. Okay. So how do you know you have fallen in love?
So basically maybe how it's gone from
just like a butterfly to like really
now I'm actually in love with this
person. Maybe I don't know if that's what they mean, but it could be.
But I can tell you ways that you can know that you're falling in love. I don't know how, in general. Okay. How do you know you have fallen in love with the wrong person in general? Can I just, I'll try and answer this question to the best of my ability. But if this person is going through a situation and you want to speak about it in further detail, please send me, and you can either send me a message to my mobile. If you have my mobile, send it to captivating@kculture.org, captivating@kculture.org, and I will get your number and then we can talk. Because it's a very vague one, and I don't want to answer it. We don't want to answer it blindly and not really help you. But if you're in that situation, please seek help. Yeah. Anybody wants to?
I don't know you're falling in love
with the wrong person in general, like generally, they've clarified it. So like they said it was like
in general. So like wait. So is it like do they mean like things like when I can't stop talking to the person, that kind of thing?
No, I think what they mean is that how do I know that this love is wrong? Like, I think for me, anything that is ungodly, like ungodly. So, for instance, somebody who is married, 1, 2, you know that this relationship will not enhance my relationship with God. For instance, it's not adding to my relationship with God, rather it's taken away. That's when this person cannot be right. Forget how you feel in that moment. Once I know it's easier said than done, but put your emotions aside. The relationship is not right if it's taking you away from God, if it's not pushing you closer to God. So I mean, I think that will be the umbrella it falls under. Anything that does not cause you to pursue God further is not of God, is not the seed of righteousness. And I think that's the way because we can go into specifics, we can go into, if it's unsafe, this is this, if it's that. I think you really have to be honest with yourself. Is this relationship causing me to desire more of God? Is this relationship pushing me towards Christ, or is it pulling me away? Any relationship that is pulling you away from God is not of God. In that, it doesn't mean it can never be of God. That's not what I'm saying. But as it stands, if it is not pushing you towards Christ and towards godliness, then it is not of God.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't even think I'll add much further to that. I was going to say the same thing that you mentioned. I think we gave like some categories earlier on when we spoke about married men, man or woman. Without having to be too specific, but a married man or woman is somebody that's just out of bounds. Obviously, the same sex, attraction to the same sex as Christians. A man who is in a committed or engaged to be married. Yeah, I think we've spoken about your friend or your friend's spouse, that sort of thing. Obviously, your family, you fall in love with your brother and sister. I was actually going to say this. This is a thing I was going to mention. I remember that I was just like, I need to mention this. Yeah, there's actually the people who are genuinely falling in love. Yeah, their relatives, their cousins, their brothers, their sisters, and I think this one is really deep.
So I hope we've answered your question as best as we could. But if we haven't, please send us a message. Okay. All right. So I think we're going to deal with 2. One is I have feelings for the same sex. How do I rid myself of them? And then we're going to do the one about family love.
They have feeling for the same sex. Yeah. I think for me, I think sometimes, especially with affections towards the same sex, we focus on the affection, and that's the problem. The issue isn't just you having feelings for the same sex. The issue is a sin issue. Wow. Do you get what I mean? Like, it sprouts from a bent nature. So you could deal with the fact that, I feel for the same sex, and then suppress that. That's no longer an issue. And then you could you could then start developing, not in this, I'm just giving a very random example, things for animals, for instance. So when we're dealing with same-sex affections,
let's not deal with that as in its own. It stems from something, and it stems from in a nature of iniquity. Once we deal with the nature, everything else falls into place. Because many people single this thing out as if it's the only sin. But then if and that needs curing from. But if someone says, oh, have issues with lying, for instance, we're not going to tell them to or just deal with the lie. No, we're saying no, something's wrong somewhere. Let's deal with the root of it, and then everything else will begin to fall in place. So this is my advice. My advice to somebody who's dealing with affections to the same sex. First of all, that is not your identity. Your identity is who God has created you to be. Nobody goes around saying, I'm a, I don't know what the word is. I'm a fornicator. Yeah, I'm an adulterer, or I'm a prolific liar, and then wear that identity like it's a cloth. No, you're more than that. God created you, man, woman, gave you a destiny. So let's not make that the sum total of who you are, because it's not. Let's deal with the individual person. And my advice to you would just be to get before your maker and lay bare before him. The thing is that we are more afraid of people's sins than God is. He's not frightened. He's not scared. He's not fazed. He doesn't love you any less. He's not. He doesn't see. That line in that song that I've never been more loved than I am right now. So even if you were to, in this instant, change the fact that I've never had feelings for another. God could not love you any more or any less. The most you've ever been loved is right now. So I think this is an issue between you and God. There's a lot of talk in the church about homosexuality and all of these things. And whilst resources and opinions and guidance is good, the person who does the work is the Holy Spirit. Get before him. Pour your heart out before him. If this isn't a desire that you want, be honest with him about it. If it's a desire that you like, be honest with him about him, and allow him to do the internal work of changing and correcting your nature in such a way that this is no longer. I mean, there are some things that we will wrestle with. So it's not to say that in an instant the feelings, will go and you will never have that again. But at least you are wrestling with that with God. It's not something you have to walk alone. It's not something that you have to be ashamed of. There is no shame here. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's something that you walk with your God with, and he is the one that will do the work in you.
Can I just add something? Just put a bit of I agree with what you've said. And I know some people don't see it as sin, so I just want to bring that out here. But we are here to give you perspective on what we believe. So we're not here to say other people are entitled to believe what they want to believe. But we are Christians. We believe in what the Bible says. We're not judging anybody. I've got friends who are so I don't see you as any different. Well, we're one. You're my brother. You're my sister. So when we're saying these things, we're saying, "Oh, this is what the Bible says." That is what we believe. We're not bashing your own beliefs, okay? So whoever is watching and does not believe. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think Pastor Kat just answered that question so beautifully. Because what I wanted to just focus on and hone on is that we need to be very careful not to single out the homosexuality and the fact that what needs to be addressed is the sin. Like, how would you deal with the situation if it was masturbation or pornography? How would you deal with the situation if it was, like you said, lying? How would you deal with the situation if it was idolatry? If there was idolatry in your life, that's the same way that you should deal with the situation and not see it as anything different to working out your salvation with fear and trembling. I think that's really what it is, a matter of working out your salvation with God. And like you said, getting before God. And I would also advise on a more practical level is to actually speak, is to have a community and a safe space of people. In the same way that I can pick up the phone and call my sister and say, listen, this
sexual purity journey is a bit mad, and, you know, like, and it's normal. It's normal for me to call one of my friends and say, people, I can't go out this weekend. Because if I go out this weekend, somebody should just give me one eye. That's the end. And I feel like we need to normalize that. In the same way, I would say that surround yourself and you need to build a safe space or community where you can have comfortable conversations like that. Say, oh, I went to church today and there was this sister. It made me feel a type of way. Wow. And it's normal. Wow. And we just have the conversation in the same way I can call you and say there's this brother. It made me feel a type of way. So I think that's another part. You need a safe space where you can have these conversations and you can just say, today was a bit tough. There's this girl at work and it's making me feel a type of way.
I want to add in terms of how you can actually know your safe space. Now, I want to use myself as an example. I can't remember this. I can't remember what the issue was, because this was when God delivers you. Sometimes He delivers you so much that you forget that anybody can ever struggle. But He delivered. That talks about how when we went sowing, we were crying, but now we come back rejoicing. When God wipes away your past, you can totally forget it even. So I can't remember the exact thing I was dealing with, but this was a thought. It was a very bad thought. I used to come. I wasn't developing it, but it will come. But I was so upset. Number one, I said, Satan, you have the fact that you have the right, the effort to come and bring this thought to my house. At first, I was upset. Like, this time my work is not strong enough. But anyways, I digress. And there was this thought that kept on coming. And who was my safe space? It was a sexual. It was like not the sexual feelings. It was people, but I could see somebody on the road, and I don't want to say what's not true. I can't really remember what it was, but it was something that I had to say, I bind you, Satan. Every single time I thought to come. I had to, and it was getting so much. How many times I want to bind Satan on the road when I'm walking? So I had to find a safe space. Who could I speak to? I had to find somebody who I could trust. How do you know the person you can trust? The person you can trust is the person who has shown you their scars. Anybody who has not told you and they have ever struggled with it, it's not a safe space. Anybody who hides their struggles, who has never had a struggle, who says they are holier than thou, who says that Jesus is forgiven, it's not a safe space. Do not go and confide in that person. Go and confide in the person who has said, these are my scars. David said, see, I have fought the lion, I have fought the bear, therefore I qualify to deal with Goliath. The person who qualifies to deal with your Goliath is the person who can tell you these are my battle scars. And so who was the person? It was my husband. I said, hello. Over here. So let me tell you how I deal with my husband when it comes to that. I come to him and say, can I speak to my pastor? The moment I say that, all bets are wrong. You can't send me out of this place. I'm coming as a member of your church. Can I speak to my pastor? So many years ago, and I said to him, these thoughts keep coming my way, and I don't like it. It's very frustrating. And he began to tell me that those thoughts are not you. The fact that those thoughts come to your mind does not mean that you're the one creating those thoughts. That's the first thing you need to understand. It's not you creating those thoughts. And he said, you know what, you're going to deal with them in the place of prayer. And I began to, so it was not just a case of, it got to a point I would try to ignore the thoughts. No, you can't, it's not every time you ignore the devil. And I would say, I bind you, no. But that was not enough. I had to go to the place of prayer and deal with that thing that was following me every Tesco, like every single place, this voice was there. And so it was not enough for me to just say, I bind you every time the thought comes. I had to deal with it in the place of prayer. So some of you need to take days, you need to shut, you have a shut in. Shut your, all this one that you have, Facebook, Instagram, you can log off Instagram after the show, but all these movies where they are doing inappropriate things, you are feeding yourself. No, shut all these things down and say, God, it's me and you. Let us uproot this thing. I don't know where it came from, but it's going to have to go. So shut in, shut everything out, fast, pray, get the word of God. And in some cases, you might need somebody to lay hands on you and cast that thing out. Now, I know we've gone beyond the question that somebody had asked. Now, I'm just speaking in general terms now. It might get to a point where you need baptism, how you get the elders to lay hands upon you. Let them lay hands, then the anointing break the yoke. So if you've tried to do it on your own and you try to get counseling and it's still not working, then you keep moving. Don't give up.
Yeah.
One of the things that it's very easy for you to give up and say, oh, I'm still dealing with this thing so many years down the line. Don't worry. You have how many years? 80, 90 years to live on earth. Keep on dealing with it. Deal until you're free.
Yeah.
Don't succumb and say it's been 10 years. I've been dealing with this. Don't worry, your breakthrough is coming.
Amen. That is powerful. That is powerful.
Right. I think we're going to speak about the last one. We're going to speak about is the family one.
Yeah. I think some of those have questions about
I think that we can answer that one later.
They said they want us to be the next topic.
Oh, the next
Oh,
topic.
the next topic. Oh, okay.
Okay.
We're dealing with in-laws. Oh, okay.
Okay. We'll write that down as one of. So in terms of the next one will be in October. So save the date, either 15th of October or the week after the 15th of October, whatever that date will be. So in terms of dating, I actually met somebody who on Friday or yesterday actually in the United Kingdom who's married to his cousin.
In some cultures.
But we just and I said oh. Are you guys in love? Yeah, they're in love. But he said that that was his culture, so they grew up together, and then he liked his cousin. And I said to him, he's a Muslim, so I said to him, I said, you know when you try to have conversation, I said, even Abraham and Moses, in the days of Abraham, they used to marry their.
Yeah, I was going to say we're having conversations that's still very much acceptable.
Yeah.
But if that's not one culture, then.
But what's the culture of the kingdom? I guess we can look at it from two ways. The culture because we can't really address another person's culture.
Yeah.
So we can only address based on the culture of the kingdom. So what does the kingdom say?
Doesn't the Bible say something about
Yeah. So we've got someone behind the camera. We should bring that on. Yeah. So Pastor T, you wanted to discuss that. So yeah, over to you.
Yeah. So the question is, how do you deal with it?
Yeah. If you're already there, you're falling in love with them.
Like a close.
Like a close relative.
A relative.
I for me that falls in the same category as the other ones.
Isn't it deeper though? Don't you think?
I think it is deeper. And
That's tell your mom.
I think this one I think would you tell your mom?
Depends if he's an African man, the person will slap you.
They'll slap you.
And
They'll beat
But
you.
when we talk about let's bring it here. So when we talk about close, like who are we talking about? We're talking about like brother, cousin, brother, cousin,
Father, mother. Because the Bible is in the Bible, is it Colossians or Corinthians? Paul said, it has come to my knowledge that sons are in their mother's bed.
So it's things that happen. It's not
strange.
It's not strange.
Yeah.
And it's happening now.
It's happening now. The one thing the part about this whole fall in love relatives that I do want to mention, and this just to put trigger warning, social media and Instagram, you have to say these things, is that there are situations like this where it has developed from abuse.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think there are situations like this where you can root it back to the fact that they were abused by close relatives, and so they maybe their minds or their hearts been conditioned a certain way, or they're actually in love with the person who abused them. And in that situation, obviously, it's more than just go and pray by yourself. Like you need to go, you need to heal. You need to go for deliverance. And when I mean deliverance, I don't mean like casting out demons, like you have a demon or anything like that. I mean, you need to break certain things in your life as a result of everything that has happened. But outside of that particular circumstance, I would say that it is deeper when you should deal with it in the same way that was everything else that was said about the rest of the godly situations, to be honest.
And I'm not sure if many people are trained to
Actually deal with
to
this
deal with
kind
that
of
situation.
I don't think a lot.
Yeah,
I don't think a lot of churches are trained.
I think if you find yourself in that situation, it's going to be a mix of like spiritual, professional,
Yeah.
Yes.
like it's just going to be real
mix.
active work of
Yeah.
That needs
all
to
of
be
the
done.
all of the wisdoms and all of the structures that God has given us coming together to really deal with the root, because it's not a normal affection.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? So
Yeah.
like there's difference between liking somebody that you shouldn't include like, or there's nothing, so like liking someone, it's not
Your blood.
normal to like somebody that you are related to.
Yeah.
So no judgment here, but it really is to say that this will require like help from so many different angles to really deal with the root issue
Yeah.
and set the individual free from those emotions and anything of that nature.
Yeah.
Let's actually put the chat as well.
Yeah.
Comment section.
So for those of you who are on Instagram, she's put from Leviticus 18 verse 6. None of you shall approach any of his close relatives to uncover his nakedness. I am the Lord. I guess this in the New Testament as well, and where Paul addresses. So I think we've come to the end of today. It's 10 p.m. and we promised to be here for a couple of hours. So I think time has gone really quickly. But we hope you've been blessed. We hope you've taken something out of this. It's our first one, but by God's grace, the first of many. So be kind to us in terms of ratings and
Be nice.
be nice, be nice, be nice, be nice. Yeah, do you just want to say something before we just break?
Yes, I guess just final thoughts is, I think for me, my heart when I was just meditating about today's conversation and stuff is just to let people know and encourage them that this kind of like feelings and thoughts does not make you a horrible person. And I think that's what keeps people from speaking about them, is the fact that they have these thoughts, they feel shameful. Like it's a thing of shame. And I think we need to normalize this kind of conversation. So I'm really grateful for actually this discussion that we're having today. But I just want to encourage people, if you're maybe some of the questions that we've answered, you find yourself in one of these situations, or everything that was said here today is not to judge or is not to Bible bash you or anything like that. It's to say we hear you, we feel your heart. However, this is the best way to go about it. But don't be discouraged. Like, don't feel condemned about the fact that you have feelings for your friends, husband or something.
And just to go off the back of what Tosin said, I think it's also to realize that like nothing is unredeemable. So like if you found yourself in a situation where you have affection to somebody who you shouldn't have, maybe your pastor who's married or your friend's husband or a brother, whatever the case may be, there is no situation with the power of God that is not redeemable. And I think one of the things that the enemy holds us down with is the shame. Is the shame of it all and that hopelessness about the situation. And it's then like this sort of omen on you that, oh, since because I've done this, it means that this is the trajectory of my life or this is the way things is going to go. No, actually, once you have repented, once you have in situation where repentance is needed and you have turned away from that, it's in the sea of forgetfulness, and the Lord can redeem any situation, and you can go ahead and have a beautiful marriage, beautiful home of your own without any shame or guilt weighing on your shoulders. So just wanted to emphasize that.
Thank you. I just want to say that everybody has got a past, and your present or your present can also become your past. So I've got my past and it was once my present, or your present does not have to become your future. Does that make sense? I know I'm saying a lot of words, but my past is my past, but it was once my present. So whatever you're dealing with right now, it can become your past. And I think God is so amazing. No, I know I've experienced the power of God in my life, and I know there's nothing, like Pastor Clark said, there's nothing that God cannot redeem. It's too much. Like you've got all power. Seek the face of God. Go to God. Go to people that you can trust. And just say, you know what, I need help. Please help me out. And I believe that God is working on somebody, and He will do what He needs to do in your life. So I'm just going to pray. Just to run. So Father, I want to say thank you for today. Thank you for the time that we've had to share. We just pray your blessing for everyone who has joined in today, and even for those who will be joining in another time to watch the recording. We pray that lives will be changed and transformed. Anybody who is currently in a situation that they shouldn't be in, and they need a way out, you are the door, you are the way. Show them the way, let them find you in Jesus' name. Amen. I just want to pray for anybody who is not saved, who is seeking a relationship with God. And if you just, wherever you are, just raise up your hands and just, open up your heart to God as we pray for you. Lord, we just pray that this person whose hand is raised will receive the love of Christ and will receive salvation. And they will just begin to live a life that is full in God here on earth. And of course, eternal life which starts here on earth. In the precious name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. So thank you all so much for joining.
Thank you.
So much.
Yes, it's been a great conversation.